Homeless person found dead in Dutch Quarter. Minister of Justice Doran says St. Martin defaulted. But first up, Prime Minister Sylvania Jacobs resigns from Parliament. Those are the headlines for Tuesday, February 25th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Now for the details. Member of Parliament Sylvania Jacobs resigns from the Parliament, however, remains as Prime Minister and Member of Parliament. Ms. Jacobs, currently serving as Prime Minister, announced that she has officially resigned from Parliament as of Tuesday, February the 18th. She had just returned from a week-long working visit to the Netherlands, where it became clear that giving proper representation in Parliament would be a great challenge. Member of Parliament Jacobs explained that carrying the multiple roles of Prime Minister, Member of Parliament, and formateur does not allow enough time for her to carry out all her duties with the attention and dedication to which she is accustomed and which the people of St. Martin deserve.
As you all know, we had our parliamentary elections on January 9th, and we as members of Parliament touring on February 10th, about a month later. As you know, I'm also functioning as the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, as well as been appointed the formateur for the next government. As such, I saw myself being extremely busy and not being able to execute any of the three tasks optimally. So I opted to, especially after having to travel to the Netherlands for an entire week as Prime Minister, I thought it would be, better serving the people to have one of my other party members who would be then next in line take up that post, as I am slated to continue being the Prime Minister of the country.
Who is the next in line Prime Minister?
Well, our next in line is Anna Richardson.
Now that you have tendered your resignation, Prime Minister, has it been accepted by Parliament?
Yes, the steps were followed. I did this subsequently to returning from the Netherlands, effective Tuesday the 18th, and the process started right away in terms of informing the Central Voting Bureau, and thereafter the process starts.
Has it been decided as to how soon Ms. Richardson will be taking up her position in Parliament?
I am not yet aware.
That will lead me now, Prime Minister, to asking, this is done because of the heavy workload you're saying, as the Prime Minister, Minister of General Affairs and Formateur. How close are you to at least reaching your target towards the formation process?
Well, the target was yesterday. So the initial date set was the 23rd, which was actually on Sunday. So in my meeting with His Excellency the Governor yesterday, it's clear that we're not quite there yet. So we do require a couple more days. So I'm hoping that by this week we would have finalized the process, hopefully. But part of it is out of our hands. I still have not received the report of the Prosecutor General yet.
The House of Parliament, which sat in a Central Committee meeting on Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020, to handle the implementation of the CFATF, addressing the members of Parliament was Minister of Justice Expo Doran, who gave an update of the implementation of the CFATF. CFATF is the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force and the implementation of the CFATF-related laws. Minister Doran said that St. Martin defaulted in our compliance with those regulatory prescriptions.
It is generally known that St. Martin is required under FATF recommendations promulgated to us that by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force to implement those recommendations within a given time frame. Last year, we have been made clear that we defaulted in our compliance with those regulatory prescriptions. As such, a result, we were issued a public statement in November of 2019. Immediately after the CFATF plenary session in November, St. Martin made an agreement with the Secretariat of the CFATF to assist us in trying to get rid of the public statement in the next plenary meeting of May 2020. St. Martin would have periodic video conferences, meetings with the CFATF Secretariat on a technical level. These technical meetings serve two purposes. They are to assist the CFATF in understanding the constitutional constellation of the Kingdom of the Netherlands and interpreting our kingdom regulations, jurisprudence, both of the Supreme Court, the Netherlands, the European Court of Human Rights, and, of course, the national laws in the context of the FATF standards, amongst others like recent amendments to our Penal Code and the revision of the Civil Code, Book 2. These legislative regulations, as you may know, were approved very late in 2019 by this same Parliament. With these periodic video conferences, St. Martin will also get pointers from the CFATF Secretariat on how close certain gaps in the FATF recommendations in order to make St. Martin more acceptable in terms of compliance. St. Martin already had 3 productive meetings during which we were able to convince prove to the CFATF representatives that St. Martin had already closed certain gaps and thus live up to certain recommendations, almost to full some outstanding recommendations. St. Martin still has to deal with 2, which is recommendation 23 and 35. A 4th meeting with the CFATF Secretariat is scheduled for the 28th of February. We are awaiting some factual information from the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin and the Civil Aviation Authority to pass through to the CFATF assessment. It is worth mentioning that the second video conference with the CFATF representatives, they inquired on handling the approval of the Penal Procedure Code, if this could be expected. Hopefully in March or latest, hopefully in the ending of March at latest, the CFATF Secretariat will internally discuss all information from St. Martin and will set up a draft report for the plenary session in May, of which the meeting of the CFATF will take place, and a decision based on us having a public statement will be made. Only in the plenary of 2020, the CFATF will decide on the application of the St. Martin to exit the 3rd round and move to the 4th round of the mutual evaluation like Curaçao and Aruba and all other CFATF member states. It is good to note that 2 laws that was passed here in Parliament and published late of last year were not recognized during the time when we receive a public statement. Of course, during our next evaluation, they will be taken into consideration because they were published, I believe it was 4 days prior to us having a plenary session in Antigua.
An incoming Member of Parliament, Mr. Claude Eastman, in addressing Parliament, gave his views on how this should be handled. He wanted more time to review this law and wanted more time to digest it and asked what was really being presented.
You're talking on the front row here of 4 new parliamentarians that have not followed in-depthly on what has happened. If, when the new Council of Ministers is sworn in, you're talking about another 3 ministers that might be added on, plus the other 2 sitting in the back, you're talking about 9 new faces that have to vote on a law that is crucial for the survivability of this country. I have read through various position papers from the government based on the Raad van Advies, and I'm trying to put them together. Is there a document where there are track changes made on the original document, what was changed to the new penal code for ordering? Because then we can see what we're talking about in changes. I read certain chapters, 16, 17, 18, they look like all new chapters. And if they are, do we understand how far-reaching powers we are giving to certain people? I don't have a problem with justice, but I do have a serious problem with abuse of justice. I want to be clear on my position. I have been living it for 10 years. So I'm not going to make up no stories in here to make things look shiny when they're as scruffy can be. So I just need to understand what's really being presented. I see the term continuously een aanwijzing tot een terroristische misdaad What does it mean? Because they are refusing to answer it. In the documentation I see, they're saying, oh, no, that was already, and we always accepted it. No, what did we accept? If we are trying to move forward, then let us say what we are moving forward to. That is one. I noticed, and again, I can only talk of what I have read thus far, Minister, because I don't have all the documents, I believe, in my possession yet. I noticed that the Crown Witness seems to be something that has garnered a lot of attention in the Hall of Parliament. And what I would like to see is when we write that, because there are a few terms that I need to get some clarity on today, when we talk about jurisprudence in the Supreme Court of the Netherlands and the Human Rights Court, they are very specific that they're talking about very specific type of criminal cases and specific type of crimes. Can we be enlightened to what those are really? Because if you just leave it open, that means it's open for interpretation by those enforcing it. And I want to at least make sure that we have these things in check, that we know what we are talking about, and we don't suddenly get laws for convenience. So we need to do something. We need a specific tool to use, and we're going to use the Crown Witness tool, for example, to get at something or someone that I need to get at. Because the Crown Witness tool is a very open-ended tool at this point in time. It's not restricted to specific situations. They are referring to jurisprudence, but we don't know which jurisprudence, because you could have put a footnote and specifically say which jurisprudence we were referring to, as the law normally does. I don't see that in there.
The lifeless body of a homeless male was encountered on Tuesday morning at about 10 a.m. The dispatch received a call from the supermarket in Dutch Quarter area concerning a male who was lying in front of the establishment, not showing any signs of life. At the location, the patrol and ambulance personnel encountered the body of a male covered under a sheet with his feet up in a relaxed position. The doctor was called to the scene, who officially pronounced him dead. It was later concluded that he passed away in his sleep and died of natural causes. According to the information gathered, the deceased male was said to be homeless and regularly slept at the location where he was found. The body of the deceased was later transported to one of the local funeral homes. His identity is being withheld until the families are notified. And still to come, Professor Chobania of AUC talks about assessment of breast health. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
The Law Enforcement Council sounds alarmed despite the fact that all stakeholders agree on the necessity for adequate victim support. St. Martin still has no victim support office or any structural form of support for crime victims. The Law Enforcement Council is sounding the alarm. In its latest report, the Council concluded that of the 15 recommendations, they were not followed in 2012 and 2016. None were given full follow-up in 2019. 4 recommendations were partially followed, and 11 recommendations were not followed at all. The Minister of Justice and the St. Martin Judicial Institute's Foundation have both not given follow-up to the recommendations with regard to guaranteeing the financing of the Victim Support Office by means of a budget reservation and direct control of the process of building up this office with the associated communication. In addition, the ministry did not follow the recommendation to search for possibilities to establish a compensation fund. On the basis of its findings in this second review inspection, the Council feels compelled to sound the alarm because of the fact that victims in St. Martin have been structurally denied the necessary assistance for years. The Council hopes that specifically this second review report will make a difference and encourages the Ministry of Justice to take action and provide victim support for the necessary financial priority and to actually establish the long-awaited Victim Support Office. The Council will monitor developments in the coming period. And in other news at this time, Professor of Clinical Medicine at the American University of the Caribbean School of Medicine tells SXM Daily News about the assessment of breast health. According to Dr. Jobania, there were specific questions followed by clinical exams. The doctor was speaking at the free breast screening session that was held last Saturday at the Vineyard Building.
Third component of this program is assessment of breast well-being or breast health through, again, asking very specific questions which we believe might influence on well-being of breast, followed by clinical breast examination performed by myself as clinical oncologist and licensed oncologist in the country of St. Martin. So I am local oncologist as well to perform this test. I already conducted 400 clinical breast examination. It means 400 women of this island already went through this program. So they learn about breast cancer and breast abnormalities. They have overall health checked up, and I perform clinical breast exam. So today it's another day of screening in which fellows and medical students will perform tasks, and I will conduct clinical breast examination. Results of this study we will share with Ministry of Health because I already stated that main goal is give back to community. Results, when we assess it, will be shared with Ministry of Health for establishment some policies or rules of screening of women for different breast problems, including breast cancer.
And in other news at this time, garbage bins were placed at the Cold Bay Lookout Point by the Department of ROMI, who placed 2 garbage bins at the Lookout Point in Cold Bay Hill. The Lookout Point is a popular attraction for residents and visitors alike who stop at the top of the hill to get a glimpse of the view. Many taxis and tour buses stop at the location, allowing their passengers to disembark and enjoy the lovely scene. With this comes the challenge of garbage disposal, as those who visit the area are faced with the challenge of getting rid of their garbage, and as a result, much of the trash is left behind or simply discarded on the premises. As a solution to this problem, the Ministry of ROMI decided to place 2 garbage bins on the privately owned property. Minister of ROMI Christopher Waver, along with Johannes Khamenei from the ROMI department and Mr. Russell Bell, a member of the family that owns the property, were at the property on Friday afternoon to inspect the garbage bins and ensure that they were securely placed. On Saturday morning, 10 students from the Milton Peters College and their teacher, Mr. Frank Datering, visited the area and cleaned up the area as part of their assignment on biology and environmental care. Minister Christopher Waver said that he encourages the entire population and visitors to the area to keep the property clean by properly disposing of their trash and refrain from littering. Now turning to our weather forecast, a weak pressure gradient will maintain light winds across the region. Meanwhile, low-level moisture associated with a surface trough and a frontal boundary will increase the chance for brief showers across the forecasted area. Moderate sea conditions are expected with waves up to 7 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers are advised to exercise caution. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, members of Parliament participate in an informative meeting with SZV. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
On Friday last, February the 21st, 2020, members of Parliament participated in an informative meeting with SZV at the offices of SZV at Harbour View as part of the orientation for new members of Parliament. The goal of this meeting was primarily to provide members with information in an effort to better equip them in the execution of their duties. The meeting was aimed at gaining a better understanding of the structure, the relationship with government and Parliament, and the current plans of SZV. The meeting kicked off with a PowerPoint presentation by the director of SZV, Mr. Glenn Carty, outlining the history of SZV and the transition of this institution since 10-10-10, including the accomplishments and challenges. Also present were members of the Supervisory Council. Members of Parliament were able to pose questions and make remarks during the presentation and exchange views with the SZV team on the current challenges SZV faces and its future plans. At the end of the meeting, the President of Parliament, MP Rolando Bryson, thanked the entire SZV team for hosting the Parliament of St. Martin and for the insightful presentation and following fruitful discussions. And still to come, St. Martin promoted as business hub of the Northeastern Caribbean. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Parasha is for anybody that needs assistance. Parasha Center is our day treatment facility. We offer education, guidance, support, and empowerment to individuals and their families suffering from prolonged chronic mental illness. Amongst treatment, we provide our clients with cooking classes, arts and craft, computer classes, independent and life skills such as budgeting.
What has the experience been like here?
It has been very positive. It showed me how to deal with the stress itself, because that was my biggest problem. There is always help. There's the mental facility, you can look at them, but not to be shy or think about it that people might say anything, because we all might be through it one day or another, and we all need help. So you don't have to feel ashamed or feel bad.
So always seek help.
Yes, always seek help.
At Parasha, we try to help our clients back into the community by improving their skills and confidence so they could live an independent and fulfilling life.
Hi, what's up, St. Martin? My name is Rene Leverett, and I play baseball. And I have represented St. Martin in numerous international tournaments and professionally around the world. Sports matters to me because it reveals and develops character. So I challenge the business community to step up for sports and help us rebuild and repair our facilities. I also ask the community to nominate local businesses in your area to take the challenge and step up for sports, because #sports matters, #are you in?
The St. Martin Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in collaboration with the ministry TIAT, promoted the destination as a business hub for Northeastern Caribbean at Europe's biggest event for immigrants, the Immigration Expo 2020. Also, part of the collaboration was the St. Martin Medical Center, SMMC. The participation of the three parties were coordinated by the Cabinet of the Ministry Plenipotentiary in The Hague, in the Netherlands. The delegation attended the two-day expo based on three key mission points: to seek partnerships, business development opportunities, and funding for local entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises, to recruit professionals, experts, and students to fill critical vacancies within government of St. Martin and SMMC, and to attract investors to help develop and meet the demands of St. Martin's growing industries, such as the mega yacht sector, in order to increase job opportunities for locals. The expo took place from February the 8th to February the 9th in Expo Houten in the Dutch city of Utrecht. Immigration Expo 2020 was hosted by the Dutch Caribbean. The exhibitors comprised of schools, hospitals, governments, embassies, banks, relocation companies, consultancies, tax advisors, insurance companies, real estate agents, and immigration guidance companies. I am Valerie Van Putten. Just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you back here again tomorrow.